Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you today. My name is Dottie Ryan, and I'm a registered dietitian with over 40 years experience. And I was a former pediatric RD before joining the National Dairy Council 25 years ago. I currently serve as Vice President of Youth Health and Wellness. And for me, today's a real full circle moment. As a dietetic intern at the Medical College of Virginia many moons ago, I did a month-long rotation with Hampton City Schools Nutrition Services with the highly respected and well-known nutrition director, Beverly Lowe, who has a long history of being a champion of school nutrition and school nutrition professionals. I have such fond memories of that experience, and I believe there are some folks from Hampton City Schools on as a attendee in today's webinar. So welcome to all of you and welcome to everyone. I'd love to hear where you're from and where you're joining from today. So drop a message into the chat just to introduce yourself and your school district. Thanks so much. As you know, school nutrition standards are evolving. And just about a year ago, we at the National Dairy Council launched a new initiative to help folks navigate the changing nutrition standards within your kitchens. That initiative is called Smart Swaps. It is a suite of turnkey resources, including kitchen and kid tested and approved recipes and sample menus. Today's session is packed with practical information, tips, and strategies for navigating the changing nutrition standards. We'll talk about what's changing and how you can help your staff and your students prepare for what's ahead. We'll also hear from Rochester Hills Community School District about how they are using Smart Swaps recipes in their program. They have some great insights to share with us today, and I'm excited to hear from them. We have a lot to cover, but don't worry, we have some really great speakers that will keep you engaged, inspired, and yes, having some fun. So let's meet our speakers. I'm joined today by my colleagues, Katie and Lisa. Katie Bombeck is a registered dietitian and school nutrition specialist and serves as Vice President of Nutrition Affairs for the National Dairy Council. She has spent the past 17 years working in the school nutrition field. My colleague Lisa Hatch is Vice President of School Channel Development at NDC, bringing nearly 20 years of experience in the dairy industry. She has led many impactful school nutrition initiatives and previously served as the Director of Marketing Services for the Dairy Farmers of New England. Also with us today are Chef Lindsay and Chef V from To Taste. They're both registered dietitians and have broad experience working in school nutrition operations and menu planning. They were very instrumental in creating the resources that we'll be talking about and sharing with you today. And finally, we have Tamara Brazelton with us. She is the Assistant Director of Dining Services at Rochester Community School District for Chartwell's K-12, where she has supported district operations for the past 9 years. So welcome to all of them. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping items. First, about resources. A recording of today's webinar will be available on smart-swaps.com. That's our website. On there, you'll be able to find the recipes and menus we're sharing today and many other resources we'll be talking about. Also, as a reminder, today's webinar can be submitted with your state organization for continuing education credits. We also want to hear from you. If you have questions, please drop them into the chat on the right side of the webinar screen. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can at the end of the webinar today. And if we miss a question, we promise we'll get back to you. You'll also have several chances to participate in quick polls that we'll be taking throughout the webinar. We'd love to hear from you, hear your thoughts, share your thoughts with us, and you will be rewarded for your participation. If you do participate in the polls, you'll have a chance to win swag. We'll be selecting winners randomly and notifying you after the webinar. And that's the cool swag. Okay, I hope everyone is ready to dive in. Let's kick things off with Katie Bombeck to share more about the standards.
Thanks, Dottie. And as you alluded to, school nutrition standards do continue to evolve. So over the next few minutes, I'll provide a brief overview of the current requirements. And to start, we're going to go all the way back to 2024, when USDA released a final rule aligning school nutrition standards with the 2020-2025 dietary guidelines for Americans. And while that rule took effect on July 1st of 2024, the required changes are being phased in gradually over time. So today I'm going to focus on three key areas: added sugars, sodium, and also meat alternate. So starting with added sugars, beginning this school year, so back in the fall, there are new product specific limits around added sugars for cereal, yogurt, along with flavored milk. And then looking ahead to school year 27-28, we know that there's even stricter standards that are come into play across the entire menu. So in 27-28, added sugars are limited to less than 10% of your total weekly calories across both your school breakfast, but also your school lunch menus. And then also beginning in school year 27-28, schools will implement further sodium reductions, a 15% reduction at lunch and a 10% reduction at breakfast compared to our current limits. And then also a few years ago, USDA removed the requirement to offer 1 ounce equivalent daily of grains at breakfast. So now schools have the flexibility to offer grains, meat alts, or a combination of both, which does create more opportunities to include protein-rich breakfast items. And to help support alignment of these evolving nutrition standards, the International Dairy Foods Association, who we refer to as IDFA, they launched the Healthy School Milk Commitment, which was a pledge by dairy companies to provide milk's 13 essential nutrients while also reducing calories and added sugar in flavored milk. So beginning last school year, 37 school milk processors committed to offering flavored milk with no more than 10 grams of added sugar per 8-ounce serving, which was in line with the new requirements. And we're delivering on that commitment. Today, we know the flavored milk in school averages just about 7.2 grams of added sugar per serving, which is well below that 10-gram limit. And then building on this progress, on the right, you'll see that IDFA introduced a Healthy Dairy in Schools commitment, which focuses on removing certified artificial colors from dairy products served in school milk programs. So starting in school year 2026-27, all participating companies will eliminate certified artificial colors from milk, cheese, and yogurt products sold to K-12 schools for use in both the National School Lunch and Breakfast programs. And I do want to acknowledge that most dairy products already meet this standard, but the commitment does ensure consistency across all categories. So as a dairy community, we remain committed to supporting schools as we navigate these evolving standards. And our commitment matters because we know milk plays a really critical role in school meal programs. USDA data shows that school meals are the leading source of dairy in children's diets. And another study also found that for low-income children specifically, nearly 70% of their total dairy intake comes from the school meal program. And it's also important to highlight the incredible nutritional value of milk and why it matters for growing children specifically. Milk provides 13 essential nutrients, including protein, which helps build and repair muscle. It contains calcium and vitamin D, which support strong bones and teeth. Protein, zinc, selenium, vitamins A, D, and B12, which all help support a really healthy immune system. And also iodine, which is really important for cognitive development in children. And despite all these wonderful benefits, unfortunately, we know that by the age of 4, children are under consuming dairy. And that makes the milk and the dairy foods offered in school milk programs especially important to help children come closer to meeting the recommended 3 servings of dairy every day. And finally, there have also been some recent regulatory updates expanding milk options in school milk programs. The Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act was signed into law in January of 2026, so just a few months ago. And this legislation does significantly expand the types of milk that schools can offer as part of the National School Lunch Program. So schools can now choose between whole milk, reduced fat, low fat, fat free, and lactose free milk, as well as nutritionally equivalent non dairy beverages. And schools are still required to offer at least 2 milk options, and those options may be flavored or unflavored, but now they have more options to choose from. Importantly, this law also removes fluid milk from the saturated fat calculations within the USDA meal pattern requirements. So in practical terms, this means that the milk saturated fat no longer counts towards those limits, providing greater menu flexibility. And this is a meaningful shift. It does give schools more options to meet the diverse student needs and also student preferences, while also better aligning school milk offerings with what students commonly consume at home, which we know we hear a lot about from school nutrition professionals. And we do know, looking at retail data, that higher fat options like whole and 2% do remain the most purchased and popular options within the home environment. And Dottie, that concludes my update on school nutrition standards, and I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, Katie, so much for that great overview for the changes ahead. Our next topic is perfect to help as you all start to prepare to put these standards into action in your kitchen. We're so excited and lucky to have today our 2 chefs, Chef Lindsay and Chef V, who are experts in school menu development. So welcome to our chefs.
Thank you, Dottie. We are so excited to be here today and help you prepare for the changes ahead. We've been hard at work on recipes and menu development to make it easy for your staff and students to say yes as we roll out new lower sugar items at breakfast. We know that success starts with a good plan. First, look for opportunities on your current menu to swap new breakfast menu items that help lower that sugar and the sodium. Smart Swaps recipes we're sharing today meet the new standards, and we promise are kid tested and approved. Chef V and I are going to demo 2 different recipes today. The Smart Swaps collection as a whole really satisfies the sweet, sour that we know our kids love, and savory flavors that they want to see at breakfast. So first up is Chef V with a delicious breakfast grilled cheese.
Welcome everyone to my kitchen. And as Chef Lindsay said, I am going to be making a breakfast grilled cheese sandwich. So, we always do, or I should say always do, but we often like to feature breakfast for lunch. So why not do lunch for breakfast, right? And we're playing off an already kid favorite. Kids already love grilled cheese sandwiches. So we're just going to add that simple twist of adding an egg patty on there and giving them something fun and exciting to enjoy at breakfast time. It also boasts a full 13 grams of protein. So that'll help, keep them full throughout the day. And one of the great things is when we swap foods that are automatically savory, like this breakfast grilled cheese, well, we're reducing the sugar, right? We don't have to really worry about the added sugar as much. So it's a really just easy switch to do. And we know in school nutrition, we tend to menu those, higher sugary breakfast items. So start thinking more about that savory, and it's just a really easy swap. So I'm going to go ahead and start making these sandwiches. So you'll notice I just have a quarter size sheet pan here. Since I'm at home, I don't really need 24 sandwiches, so I'm just going to stick with the 6. So I'm going to go ahead and first spray the pan with a butter flavored spray. And there's multiple reasons for that. So 1, for that flavor, right? 2, to get the browning. And then 3, of course, for easy cleanup. And I know some of you are like, wait a minute, we really need a pan liner on that if she's talking easy cleanup. Okay, so Chef Lindsay and I really do believe it browns better if you don't have the pan liner, but do not let that stop you from making this recipe. If you want to use a pan liner, pan liner, that is awesome. It will still brown. You can go ahead, try to prove us wrong. But for today, I'm not going to use one. I'm going to go ahead and lay down my whole grain rich, or even better, if your students like it, whole wheat bread. So I've got 1 slice down. And then what I'm going to do is start layering my ingredients on top. So we chose just to put a cheddar cheese in the recipe, but we're hoping as you watch me make this recipe, you're realizing that you could swap out. We like to say the word swap as much as we can. Swap out some different cheese flavors. So, like if your kids like spicy, you could do a pepper jack. If you wanted to do like more of an Italian influence, you could add some mozzarella. Or we thought it'd be cool, like you could do like a more fancy, like you see in restaurants, like a 3 cheese grilled cheese. You could do anything like that. Just make sure, you update your nutrient analysis when you change the recipe. But there's so many options. Okay, so now I'm going to add an egg patty. And, I mentioned that when we do savory, it automatically helps us reduce added sugars. But I know you probably were thinking it. We do still need to be mindful of sodium. So do be mindful when you're choosing the cheeses and the egg patties. And also, if you really are feeling very ambitious and you have the staff in your kitchen, you can make your own egg patties. That's actually what I did this morning before the demo. And if you do that, then you would be in full control of the sodium in those egg patties. So just something else to think about. So now I'm going to add 2 more cheese slices. And you might be thinking, oh my gosh, did Chef V and Chef Lindsay think about how expensive this breakfast item is going to be? Don't worry, they only get half a sandwich. They're not getting the whole thing. So we're also relying on that meal, the menu flexibility that Katie referenced, where we get to credit the meat at breakfast, the meat alternate. Okay, so I've got my cheese slices. Now I'm going to put on my bread. Getting it nice and covered. And then I'm about to show y'all a really cool trick. Okay, so I have my sandwiches all laid out. Curious how many of you already know this or do this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray the top. So spray the tops regardless, because we want that buttery flavor on top too. But then what I'm going to do, I had a tray hidden. I'm actually going to put this tray on top of the sandwiches and press like just a little bit, don't like squish them or anything. But what this is going to do is mimic like using a griddle or even like a panini press, and it's going to press them and brown them even better than if you didn't use this tray on top. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in my oven. I have preheated convection to 375. I'm going to cook it for 8 to 10 minutes. It'll be like 8 minutes because that's all Chef Lindsay gets for her demo part. And then I'll pull them out. But I did, before I swap it over to Chef Lindsay, I wanted to show y'all I have a sauce here that's ready to go. It's one of the fun things about this recipe and other recipes on the Smart Swaps website. So I have a hot honey mustard. So we like to serve this on the side of the breakfast grilled cheese just to elevate that menu item even more and to play off the trend. Because I don't know if y'all noticed, but we have that hot honey is absolutely everywhere right now. And also the kids love their spicy dishes. Okay, so I'm going to pop this into the oven and swap it over to you, Lindsay.
Well, thank you, Chef V. That was very smart of you to swap it back over to me. I appreciate that. And you got some awesome chats saying, yes, we love this idea. Great. And love the spicy. So thank you guys so much. The little competition, hope to get more comments than Chef V. Okay, so what am I going to do? We're making a cherry lime smoothie bowl today. They are trending for a reason. They are delicious, bright, so flavorful, and can come with different fruits and so many different flavors. So I don't know if you guys know, but they're being sold at the grocery store now in little pre-compartmentalized containers. And then also I went to a volleyball tournament where they were over $20. So this is a big deal. They're going to love having it in your school. And so how are we going to make it? Well, a little blender is not going to do the trick because we're going to need a lot of smoothie bowls. They're going to go fast. So we need a 5-gallon bucket and a very beastly immersion blender. Okay, what do y'all think? Does this look good? Well, I would really struggle if I were trying to blend like this, and this recipe would not be my favorite at all. So I recommend that you put the 5-gallon bucket into the prep sink, and that lowers it, and then you can use this immersion blender to blend it around. It does an incredible job with frozen fruit. So it'll make it creamy and smooth. It will not eat up your blender, burn it out. You can also use this for sauces and like refried beans, smoothies, smoothie bowls. So very versatile. And this, not very expensive. Okay, what are we gonna do today? I'm gonna do it in a little bit smaller serving for you guys, even though we could probably eat the 5-gallon bucket at home. But we're gonna start with a reduced sugar yogurt. And you can start with any yogurt of choice. This is a vanilla yogurt, but we chose reduced sugar because we are trying to gradually cut back on that added sugar and sweeten with fresh fruit. These cherries here, sorry, came from the freezer. You have to keep them frozen to get that real good, thick smoothie bowl, so it doesn't turn into just a drinkable smoothie. So these came out of the freezer, and these are sweet cherries. You can make a mistake and get tart cherries. The USDA ones are sweet, but this is very important because it will change the whole flavor profile of your smoothie. And even though our kids love tart, they tend to like the sweet and tart or sour together. So you'll be missing that sweet if you go with only tart cherries. Okay, so we have our cherries here. And first I said yogurt. So this is our one meat alternate, which is a wonderful contribution to breakfast. I'm going to tear the scale and then I'm going to add these cherries. Guys, look at that. It still has the stem on it. Okay, so recipe quality control, I mean, it's a good, delicious, fresh cherry right there. Frozen, but no student would like that. So very cute, but just like you peel off the stickers, just look at your food as you're adding it. So we added about 8.8 ounces. I said about, is anything we do in school nutrition about? So I added 8.8 ounces, which would be for about 2 servings of smoothie with my 1 cup of yogurt in here. So I'm making it for a total of 2 servings. And then I'm going to add my lime juice. So we're going to add the lime juice. We get a little tart. So again, we have the reduced sugar yogurt, a little bit of sweet and creamy, along with those cherries frozen right out of the freezer and that tart lime juice. So all easy ingredients, and we're going to make a delicious smoothie bowl. Take it off of the scale. And if anyone wants to sing while I do this, Zoom does a really good job of muting my blender, but let's see. And I will say that morning time runs smoother when yesterday did the work, right? That's now in my head now, but it's so true for so many recipes. And what I want to say about the smoothie bowl, very important, do not make this the day before and then put it in the freezer. It will come out hard as a rock and will not thaw appropriately for your students for breakfast. So I can say don't do that. From personal experience, we did experiment with that. There's just not enough time. Okay, so we're blending it around. Again, this is going to be 1 meat alternate and 1/2 cup of fruit in the form of juice because it's smoothie, so we're blending it. And let me show you where we are right now. Oh, that is so pretty. Hey, it matches our coats. Chef B, did we plan that? That is pretty.
100% we planned that.
No, we're just that good. Okay. So now we're going to town. Whoever gets to do this can really feel like a kid. Super fun. Okay, lots of power. Here's our smoothie bowl. Y'all see, it doesn't just like drip out of the container. It's still pretty solid and form of being able to eat it with a spoon. So you don't want a small 4-ounce. You're going to want a bigger, about 12-ounce container or like a clear bowl. This is really going to make it look nicer, and the students are going to be happy with this like cafe style presentation. Okay, and they're gonna get 1 cup of smoothie bowl. So we have 1 cup here, plus 1 ounce of granola. And think, you can do like blueberry lemon. Shout out to Chef B's son who loved a blueberry lemon idea. But there's lots of different frozen fruits that you could do a different smoothie bowl. Always remembering to make your recipe and analyze it for standardized recipes and analysis. But this is so pretty and rich in color, and that 1 ounce of grain on top, just incredible. So, and like I said, they don't have to pay $20 for it. Isn't that a gift? I don't want to either. Okay, we're gonna do a sample right here. This is a great way for your students to be able to taste test. Ooh, little sprinkle. And Chef B, would you like to do a little bit of a smart swap here? Because I'm really craving that grilled cheese you have.
100%, because I obviously want the cherry lime smoothie bowl, but I want to first demonstrate my beautiful tray I have here. So I have my cut sandwich. I had to pull them a little early, so they didn't get as brown as I would have liked, but know that they would continue to crisp up in the oven. I've got my side of sauce and side of fruit. So you know what, Chef Lindsay? I mean, I've got 6 whole sandwiches. So instead of giving you this half, you feeling like really hungry? Or maybe you can share? Okay. Are you ready?
Hungry. I've been working a lot this morning, so
I'm seriously just gonna like frisbee toss this to you if you're okay. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
Did you get it?
thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, where's my bowl? Where's my bowl?
I'm not going to toss it because I think it's going to be.
Yeah, don't do that. I cannot have the mess all over my kitchen. I mean, I already have kids. Too much.
Okay.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay, go for it. I'm ready.
Go.
What? Lindsay, did you seriously give me the sample size? So mean. I give her a whole sandwich and she gives me the sample. I'll still take it though, because these are so delicious, y'all.
Have my meal here. Thank you. Okay, lots of fun with you guys. Try these delicious recipes. You won't regret it, and your students will be thrilled. Now back over to you, Dottie.
Thank you, Chef Lindsay and Chef V. Always fun. You always bring the fun, and the demo was great. I also just really want to give a shout out to these 2 chefs. They have been so instrumental in developing these recipes, so creative and collaborating with us from the beginning through this whole process. Both recipes looked amazing. So now that we've given you a little inspiration, we'd love to hear from you about what you have planned for your breakfast menus. So we have our very first poll question, and it's on the screen, and you can add it to the chat. And I believe everyone, I've been seeing some comments that it didn't look like the chat was available for everyone to see, but I think that's been fixed. So fingers crossed that you can see some of the comments coming in from your colleagues around the country. So the first question, what's one breakfast item you'd like to add to your menu next year? So please share that in the chat. And again, opportunity to win swag for participating. Oh gosh, I'm seeing so much. Smoothies, waffles, sandwiches, muffins, lots of smoothie bowls. That's awesome, you all. Thank you so much for sharing. Keep sharing throughout and keep your questions coming too. Okay. Next, we're going to share some tips to help you get you and your staff ready to implement the new items. So please welcome my colleague Lisa, who's going to give us set up your kitchen for success.
Thanks, Dottie. So let's dig into where this really starts, which of course is your current breakfast menu. Before adding anything new, it's really worth taking a step back and looking closely at what you're already offering. As the chefs pointed out, you're looking for an easy opportunity to swap out and be efficient. So that might mean leaning into items that are already in use, like your yogurts, your oats, or your dips. The goal here isn't change for change's sake. It's to find swaps that really bring down added sugar and sodium while still keeping the nutrition strong. So once you start spotting those opportunities, smart-swaps.com is a great next stop. That's where you're going to find sample menus like the one you see here, and Dottie's going to go a little bit deeper into that in a little bit, along with a full database of kid-approved breakfast recipes that you can plug directly into the areas that you've identified. So the recipes that Chef Lindsay and Chef V just identified and walked through, those are there as well. Next, you want to evaluate your kitchen. So once you begin to narrowing in on the ideas, evaluate your kitchen. This is really about making sure your space, your equipment, and your processes can support what you want to do next. For example, if you're excited about adding a smoothie option like the black cherry bowl Chef Lindsay just showed, you'll want to double check that you have the right tools. Something as simple as having an immersion blender and a 5-gallon bucket on hand can make all the difference in executing recipes smoothly. Similarly, if you're planning to introduce more scratch-made items or items you haven't offered in the past, you may want to confirm in advance that you have the food processors, slicers, and other smallwares that you may need. That's especially important if something is new for your staff. And speaking of staff, this is where building buzz early really matters. Staff buy-in goes a long way, especially when you're introducing new menu items. Starting those conversations early and making staff feel like they're part of the process can really help set things up for success from the very start. One easy way to do that is through taste tests and early previews of the new recipes. And don't forget, smart-swaps.com also includes recipe resources like menu cards and build sheets. These resources provide clear step-by-step guidance your staff can use as they prepare the new recipes. So when you have these three pieces come together, the menu, the kitchen, and your people, you're really setting yourself up for a much smoother rollout. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Dottie.
Thanks, Lisa. Those tips were great. Excellent. Thank you. Now let's turn our attention to how we win with the students. We've learned how we win with staff. How do we win with the students? I'm inviting our To Taste chefs back to the stage so they can share some of their favorite tips for making menu changes fun.
Thank you, Dottie. This is truly one of our favorite topics. Let's start by talking about trends, especially trends that students really do love. We really enjoy being able to tap into things that kids are looking for at the meals outside of school, right? Like at restaurants and wherever they might be eating, to make school breakfast even more enticing. So think about global flavors, lunch for breakfast, like I showed you earlier, and portable on-the-go options. Tapping into these unexpected trends really makes the meal feel fun.
That's right, Chef V. And we love using signage to call attention to new recipe items and make sure it's eye-catching because they're not going to know if it's new and it just goes out there. It's really good to have some information along with it to advertise it. And if possible, add that description, but don't add too many words, right? Because we don't read a lot now. It's like quick, short, and simple, to the point is what we all love. Also, think about your presentation of your recipe. When we were talking about this bowl with the granola, you could garnish with a little bit of fruit to add some more color. I know that price does have a factor in this, so but a little bit goes a long way. So think about that presentation of the smoothie. Maybe it's a colorful straw, again, a pop of color. It is a wonderful thing to market that food.
And then finally, make it a game. These kids love their games, right? Especially those video games. We're going to make a game in person for them, but invite the students to taste test, vote, review, and really help to shape the menu. This group of students definitely wants their voices heard. They want to feel like they're in power of what they're eating in the cafeteria. So give them that opportunity. It's great for them. And truly, I've always thought it's so fun for us too, as the ones working in the school cafeteria.
Awesome. Thank you both so very much. Wonderful ideas to get the students excited. I really love that taste test bulletin board. That's really awesome. Now it's time for our very next poll, our second poll. Tell us what strategies have worked well for you when you're introducing new menu items. Share your tips in the chat. Again, a chance to win swag. Taste test, advertising. Oh, suggestion cards. Love it. Voting. Taste samples. Awesome. You all, thank you so very much for sharing all of this with us. I hope everybody can see it. It looks like QR codes. I love that one too, and suggestion boxes. Wonderful. Okay, so give you a little bit more time. Great. Okay. So we'll move on now. I'm so excited to welcome our next speaker, Tamara Brazelton from Rochester Community Schools. Tamara and her team were among the first school to introduce or to pilot using the Smart Swaps recipes and resources. She's here today to share her learnings, her insights, and tips. So welcome, Tamara. We're excited to hear everything you have to share with us today.
Hello, thank you, Dottie, and thank you for having me. I am excited to share some perspective from our Smart Swap pilot. As far as getting started, there's no better time than now. There are many resources to tap into that we've already seen today, and we already have seen some great examples of the food. For me, I can be siloed in our district operations, so branching out for this pilot with the help of the DMI was an opportunity to think bigger, broader. Something that was daunting at first is now met with enthusiasm. So here I am in the Great Lakes State. You'll see here, Metro Detroit. Our focus for RCS has been offering more speed scratch, fresh recipes that students want to eat. We have 20 plus kitchens with, maybe 1, 2, or 3 helpers tops in the morning to make breakfast happen. It's a complex ask when we layer on more production. Our teams need to be set up for success. With that, we have found some recipes. There is breakfast prep that needs to happen the day before, as Lindsay mentioned. So who Smart Swapped? We went all in, K-12, our 13 elementary, our 4 middle, and our 3 high schools. We did this in January and February of this past winter, and we created menus for this pilot staying under the added sugar target. So driving adoption. Promote, test, and adapt. We spread the news. We promote it through school media and at stations in the cafeteria in advance and while it's happening. Test before you swap. Sample stations are a great way to engage and promote breakfast, even at lunchtime. Students enjoy trying the recipes, and we get to learn what they gravitate towards. They don't like a lot of interaction, so we need to keep it quick and brief and take notes. Students will adjust. We omitted a few added sugar favorite items for the test period. Students missed the items, but most adjusted to the new offerings. Prepare to pivot. All of our schools received new Vitamix blenders, and we were able to up our smoothie game. And we would pivot if a new flavor was an option of a noticeable miss. So we would also want to add the favorites, which seem to be blueberry and strawberry quite often, but keep trying the new ones. So to that, what works? Repeat and build acceptance. We ran a 2-week menu rotation for January and February. We repeated the new items roughly 5 to 7 times during the intro phase. And simplify. So we offer scrambled eggs with cheese and breakfast meat daily. We learned students prefer to grab and go versus being served. So we now have the portions ready. Again, the interactions, keeping them brief. Adapt to your school. So Chartwell's reworked recipes based on Smart Swap inspiration, but kept in line with our products. Track participation, as we do. We log daily participation through production, making it easy to assess menu hits and misses. It's okay to adjust. For example, we deconstructed the mac and cheese with scrambled eggs. When we mixed it all together, it was not as familiar as when we deconstructed it and kept it looking separate. Keep it fresh, follow trends. We chose to get the new blenders with the smoothies. We ran the smoothie bowls. They are beautiful and offer new fresh items that the kids gravitate towards. Next slide, please. So at any rate, 100% keep trying. Here's just a collage of what we tried over the test period. And with that, as I wrap up, it was shared that through our in-depth analysis and data collections from our Smart Swaps breakfast period, participating students were served approximately 8 to 9 grams less added sugar per breakfast, which annualizes to roughly 3.4 to pounds less added sugar per student over a 180-day school year. At breakfast participation levels that we have, that translates to a estimated 7,000 pounds of added sugar eliminated annually from our district breakfast offerings without reducing dietary adequacy. That's a positive equation we can all get behind and smile about. So with that, while this is a simple timeline added to our already filled up to-do list, getting started, I think, is a great way to feel better about the end. There's plenty of time for changes and transitions, and we can thank ourselves later for giving that attention and energy now. Back to you, Dottie.
Thanks, Tamara. It's incredibly valuable to hear from a director like you who is using Smart Swaps, and that is what people are saying in the comments in case you didn't have a chance to look at them, but they really appreciate hearing from somebody that actually has been in the pilot and has tried these recipes. So thanks so much. We've covered a lot today, but before we wrap up and we get to our questions that you all are asking, I want to wrap up with a quick summary of the Smart Swaps assets and resources that are available on our website. First, the first collection of 25 Smart Swaps recipes focuses in on breakfast because of its impact on student health and also because it had such a great opportunity for meaningful and compliant recipe improvements. On our breakfast menus, on our breakfast recipes, you will find smoothies, hot entrees, and cold entrees. And a fun fact, all of these recipes were taste tested with over 2,500 plus students across 15 states with overwhelmingly positive feedback. And if we got some bad feedback, we went back and revised the recipe. So these are really kid-tested recipes. The recipes are also kitchen tested and designed for real-world implementation. All of the recipes are supported with downloadable recipe cards with multiple yields and USDA compliance. I think we need to go, yeah, there's the next slide. As well as step-by-step visual instructions and training prep. Lisa had kind of mentioned this. We also have a few recipe build videos for further visual walkthroughs, which are really helpful. And as you know, and certainly you know better than I do, that menu planning can be very complex with strict weekly targets for calories, saturated fat, added sugar, and sodium. Our sample menus are designed to make that process easier, offering ready-to-use compliant example menus complete with nutrition information and recipe inspiration. We also recognize that every school nutrition operation is different. Some of you have full kitchens and staff that you're able to prepare meals from scratch, while others maybe have less staff or limited staff, and you rely more on pre-prepared foods. To meet schools where they are, we developed 3 distinct sample menus: Speed Scratch, Grab and Go, and Heat and Serve. And then each menu covers several weeks, and each daily menu includes 2 full entrees, fruit selection, and a variety of milk offerings. These menus were built using USDA-approved nutrient analysis software. We factored in take rate to determine weekly nutrient values for K-8 and 9-12. Portion sizes vary by grade level, and we do provide full nutrient information for calories, saturated fat, added sugar, and sodium. These menus meet the nutrient standards for the school year 2027-28 with no more than 10% of total calories from added sugar and the decrease in sodium. On the website, you'll also find a collection of engaging educational videos that walk through step-by-step instructions for preparing the Smart Swaps recipes. These videos are designed to be both informative and approachable, making it easy to follow along and bringing the recipes to life in your kitchen. We also have videos covering topics like 8 reasons we love yogurt and who doesn't, and also time-saving kitchen prep tips. So coming soon, and you are the first to know, we will be adding new recipes and sample menus for lunch. and that's coming in July. So we're really excited. And again, you are the first to hear that news. These recipes explore global flavors and again will feature sample menus to make compliance and implementation easy. So please plan to stop by our booth at the upcoming SNA ANC conference in my hometown, Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm excited for you all to visit Charlotte, but stop by to taste some of our new lunch recipes and creations. Okay, so before we get to answering all of your questions, we have one final poll. And again, we've covered a lot today, but really do want to hear from you. So our very final poll, what resources do you think will be most helpful as you start to update your menus? Again, share your answers in the chat. Standardized recipes, sample menus, good. The website, excellent. You all, thank you so much for engaging, and these are great. Sugar counts, sample menus, awesome. It looks like a lot of you would like the sample menus. You're looking at the cycle menus, the recipes, our website, videos, awesome. I think you're gonna like what you see on our website. Okay, so now it is time to answer some of your questions. And I've seen a lot of questions come through on the chat, and my helpers across my colleagues out there in cyber world are going to help me with some of this. But to kick it off, I'll turn it over to Tamara for our first question, which is, were you able to keep chocolate milk on the menu during your pilot?
Yes, we were able to keep chocolate milk. We had chosen some other options to pull off the menu at that time, so we were able to keep the fan favorite. So, yes.
Excellent. Thanks, Tamara. Okay, next question from Angela. Okay, let's see. Oh, a question came up asking Katie to please confirm if we have to offer grains at breakfast.
Yeah, so back, it was a few years ago, USDA removed the requirement to have to offer at least a minimum of 1 ounce of grain. You just have to serve a combination of either ounces of grain or meat alt. So you can do a combination of the two, or you could do just meat alt, and they would credit as your grain option.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. I think this question might be for you too, Katie. Do you have recommendations for schools that are interested in offering 2% and whole milk, but have breakfast programs at their schools? Logistically, this is difficult when you are only allowed to, at this time, offer it at lunch.
But this is a common question that we're receiving, and USDA has acknowledged the complexity around allowing it only at lunch. And I'm happy to share, if folks don't know already, there is an interim final rule that USDA is working on as we speak that would expand fluid milk options to additional child nutrition programs. And we do expect that ruling to come out soon. We don't have a crystal ball, and so we don't know when, but USDA has acknowledged that they're working to address that challenge.
Thanks, Katie. And I'm sorry, let me know if I continue to freeze up. The next question is for Chef V. Chef V, how would you package the breakfast sandwich for breakfast in the classroom?
For breakfast in the classroom, I would wrap it up either in one of those foil wraps or the red and white checkered paper. And then if you wanted to still serve the sauce on the side, you could put it in the 2-ounce cups like I had, and I moved away from you now. And then you can put the lids on top too. You'd have to be separate because it's cold, but I think that would work really nicely. And it's a great grab and go option.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then this sounds like maybe another chef question, maybe a Katie question, or Paul is asking about the added sugar in the honey mustard sauce.
Oh yeah, I think Katie or I could both answer that, or Chef Lindsay. Yeah, it's not that we don't use any sugar. We just worked on reducing sugar. So you are correct. Honey is considered an added sugar, but there's overall there's a minimal amount. And then when we dropped those recipes into our sample menus and analyzed, it all worked out. So we worked on reducing sugar, but not necessarily eliminating sugar.
And Dottie, may I add to that?
Absolutely.
And with that, yes, a little bit of sweet is wonderful, and we're definitely all in favor. We know it, we can't just eliminate sugar, but it's really powerful that we have control over how much sugar we are adding in these recipes, because when we're doing the speed scratch or scratch, then we can gradually reduce it, and we're not waiting on a whole nother product to be created to reduce the sugar. So we can gradually reduce it and let the students enjoy that slow reduction, and then just have control over it if we do have to cut it significantly. But like I said, it's just nice to be in control of it.
And I just noticed the comment says the recipe is showing 0 grams of added sugar. So if that's true, that would be a mistake. So let us check on that and get that corrected. Thank you for pointing that out to us.
That was a trick, Chef B. It really does.
We wanted to see how carefully y'all are looking at those recipes.
I think they should get a prize, but no. But thank you. Yes, it takes a village. We appreciate that. We'll check.
Okay, so thank you again to all of our speakers. You did such a great job, and thank you everybody for your participation in the polls and in the questions. We really appreciate it. As a reminder, a recording of today's webinar will be available on smart-swap.com. Also look for a short survey that will be sent out to you after the webinar. Again, we'd love to hear your feedback. Again, any questions you have. Thanks again, and please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We really want to hear from you, and we hope you enjoy the recipes and the new lunch recipes, and come visit us at ANC in Charlotte. Thank you.